I'm really, really honored to have these amazing speakers with us today. Dr. Adil, whom you just met, and it was very interesting presentation on Venture Studios, and I'm very happy to have the opportunity and our students to learn more. Also on the panel is Kilian Veer, a partner at Bridgemaker, and previously he was co-founded Medzagona and worked as head digital strategy somewhere in Berlin. I'm gonna let you introduce yourself, but it's a pleasure to have you with us. Maher also, I've had the honor to meet him before, and Maher is a visionary leader, seasoned banker for over 29 years. He has extensive experience in board membership in Islamic banking, and in risk management, finance, operations, technology. So again, Maher, welcome on board. Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you with us this morning. And last but not least, we have Jazeer, Jamal. He's the founder and CEO of GrowValley Ventures, the region's first and biggest venture studio based in the UAE. Dr. Adil, I'll start with you. I want you to tell me very quickly some of the challenges associated with venture studios, but also some of the challenges of entrepreneurship more generally. You just talked about failure rate, 9 out of 10 ideas are going to fail, you know, so I want our students to really understand a little bit more about success, failure, opportunities in this space, and about the challenges of venture studios. So let me start with you, please. Being a serial entrepreneur, I think you can answer this question comfortably.
Do you have 6 hours, guys?
No.
Okay, you don't have 6 hours.
We have 2 minutes.
So as with regards to venture studios, naturally the challenge, the main challenge becomes the team that is entrusted to identify ideas, execute on those ideas, be very vigilant about the process of doubling up on an idea or shutting down an idea. And then, of course, when it comes to monetizing these businesses, that also becomes a challenge. So first of all, getting the right team that is able to do that efficiently and has the self-discipline and has the capabilities of doing all of that is naturally a challenge. It takes years to develop really competent teams to do this. The second challenge with the venture studios is definitely having the needed funding to make sure that they arrive to their ultimate objective. And the third is for being in a market that can make it interesting to monetize these ideas. So these are the challenges that a venture studio, and I think Kilian here is more competent than me and Jazeer in identifying even further them being operators of venture studios also. When it comes to entrepreneurship, there are a lot of challenges, but let me start by saying which context do you fall in makes a huge difference. Which area are you in? Which society are you trying to serve? The geopolitical issues you are facing, the economy, the market, demand and supply, the ability to monetize ideas, the valuations you can get within the market you serve are all key concerns. When it comes to the concept of failure and success, to get used to it takes a long time. You think this idea is the next greatest idea in the world. You put a lot of heart and effort and sweat, and it does not kick start, and you think everybody's stupid but you. So to realize that no, actually the product is just probably at times ahead of the market, or is not promoted properly, or it's just not the product for the market. Or you would not find that even if it is successful, there's not much interest of others buying your business at a good value, so that you can make money at the end and then move to the next ideas.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And I think this is very valuable for our students. Not your first idea will not automatically succeed. You have to get used to the concept of failure, bouncing back, standing up, trying again, and having an amazing team around you. Kilian, moving to you, maybe you want to introduce yourself really briefly, but also tell us about how you identify the right startups that you want to invest in that will have growth prospects. What are the key factors? So maybe we can start with that.
Okay, so brief introduction. I'm Kilian, I'm a partner with Bridgemaker. We are venture builders, so our job is to create these venture studios or to do venture building as a service for big corporates, especially family businesses. That's what we specialize in. I have a background as an entrepreneur. I co-founded, so I'm a great believer in teams as well, with two other guys, the world's largest biotech marketplace, Sagino. And before that, I worked for a family business, or it used to be a family business. Now it's a publicly listed Kaizen biotechnology space. Was the head of digital transformation there. And before that, I was the typical strategic consultant until I knew what I wanted to do with my life. Great. So amazing journey. So how do you identify the right startups? How do you do that? Yeah. So it's probably the most difficult question. So I agree with what Dr. Adil said about it all starts with a team, at least in a venture studio it does. So once you have the team and once you have identified the capabilities within the team, then what we do is we use a very stringent, very straightforward methodology that is really doubling down on the process of failing fast. What we try to do is to get to identify the 9 startups that will fail. So in the end, the one that probably does not fail remains. So setting up a process to do that as quickly as possible, that's to us the best recipe in doing that. Now, the other part that is very important is now with the venture studio, there's one thing very different from, in my humble opinion, from a typical startup studio, because a venture studio seeks the collaboration between the entrepreneur and the investing business. So the family business or the corporate business or the governmental institution or whoever. Now here, to be really successful, you need 2 things. One is the entrepreneurial opportunity. Difficult enough because you have to identify the 9 that fail. So 1 remains. Now, what you have to do then is with the remaining ideas, because usually it's not just 1, it's rather 3, because you're looking at 30 ideas and then 27 fall out. Of those 3, you try to identify the one that fits best to the corporate strategy that you're working with. Because in the end, you're seeking collaboration. You're seeking investment from a corporate, not just in money, but also in time and in their assets. And to make them leverage their assets, they really need to have a fit. And this is what we look at very early on as well. So it's the entrepreneurial opportunity to get to the 1 startup and then in there seek for the corporate fit. Very nice. So like push them to fail fast, yes, so that you identify the right startup to invest in and then working on the fit. Amazing. Moving on to Maher. Maher, it's a pleasure having you. I know that you work a lot with family businesses. You're on the board of governance for several businesses. And my question to you, should a family business engage with a venture studio? And specifically here in the UAE, would you recommend that? Sure. Actually, just a disclaimer. I thought after the keynote of Dr. Adil that we would not really require anything to be said, but nevertheless, you've kind of covered it all, to be honest with you. So let's elaborate on that thing. But I think it's some of the stats, but we're aligned, to be honest with you. I think probably we're reading all the same stats over here, with mindful being correct or not. I think before answering the question, it's important to understand the context of the family offices as well. As the stats were mentioned by the Dean of Communication and Dr. Adil, globally, family offices constitute anything between 50 to 70% of global GDP. If global GDP is around
$85 trillion, give and take. You're talking about anything between 52 to $70 trillion of family offices. So it is the actually essential building block of an economy. And that will allude to the answer of the question later on. If you come back to UAE, the numbers are even more staggering. So 90% of the GDP of UAE is actually coming in from family offices. So it's very, very strong, very fundamental for the success of the economy over here. When you speak to the business owners, there was a KPMG survey carried out some years back, 5 years ago. I think hopefully the stats has improved. They realized that around 90% of family owners believed in getting the next generation prepared. But unfortunately, only 27% took any action or did anything about it. And that's why it's important. So how do we make sure that the next generation is prepared for the next, which is coming up? Now, what is there in the mind of the family offices owners is how do I pass on the business? But unfortunately, what you require is much more than that. You require a strategy in place, you've tried an education system in place for them so they can be enticed and be part of the process. So coming back to Venture Studios is one such avenue where you actually can prepare the next generation to where you can make sure the legacy and continuation of the generation of the family offices continues. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult for them to happen. I'm more realistic. I think Dr. Adil said he's optimistic about how the family offices are rising, which is the fact, to be honest with you. But unfortunately, if you look at the number of family offices which does not really survive the third generation, it's really high. So what I wanted to say, only 14% makes it to the third generation in GCC. And that hopefully need to change with one of the avenues of Venture Studios. So Venture Studios, to define it again, for simplification, either these people who have actually seen companies and they founded companies in the past. So they have the experience, what to do, what not to do. So they come together and collaborate and provide you that experience. So when we take the family businesses and engage with them, the success rate becomes really, really higher for you to make it happen. So it's very critical and important, yes, for the family offices to get engaged with them. And the question part of it, whether it should be internally, externally, depending on the family business's preparedness. So if you're a family office which is very large, has very good governance, and you're able to make it internally, be it, do it, because some family offices have done that. So what they've done, they created their own startups, but what they have done, they have allocated the people, the talent, and isolated them from the company and the rigid mind force of the corporation so they can think differently. In my previous organization, we did that. We wanted to create an organization for the millennials. But if you would have stuck with the corporate mind, that would not been possible. So we created a separate company almost headed by a millennial. The entire team was for millennial to come up with a company for millennials. And it has been so successful that the industry started triplicating the model we came up with. So it's important for family offices to choose whether it's internal or external, depending on their preparedness. So from my humble advice, what I see, externally, it's much more viable.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Very interesting, and especially in the context of the region, very good insights. Turning to Jazeer, and I want to ask you, Jazeer, thank you for being with us. And now we hear about incubators, accelerators, and now the latest is the Venture Studio. So is this a fad? Is this something that is really significantly better? How is it different from incubators and accelerators? Can you speak to us about this? Because I think it's the first time our students are hearing about Venture Studios. Most likely they have heard about accelerators, incubators, but we want to learn more about the differences, nuanced differences from you, please.
Firstly, thank you for having me here. This is the most common question I get to hear from founders, investors, institutions, organizations, that you name it, whoever it is. I mean, how different are you from accelerators or incubators? It's a very, very common question. Based on the 3 years of experience, I say the difference of 4. One is leadership, and the second is skin in the game. Third is frugality, and fourth is the speed. Going back to the first thing, is leadership is very, very important when it comes to startup studios. That means nobody can walk this game unless you have walked it past. That means you cannot just go to university and just come back and start building here, because this has to be done and led by experienced entrepreneurs. Someone who's failed multiple times, somebody who's got exit, somebody who's raised capital, somebody who knows to hire people, somebody who knows how to identify the ideas, and so on. And the second, the most important thing is the frugality, which is very, very important, that how fast you can build an idea and how frugally, with the lowest amount of investment required, were you to build and launch ideas. And this is something very, very, very common mistake made by first-time founders, even family offices. I've seen family offices spending stupendous money on startups when I was like, what are you doing with this kind of money? I mean, you could do like a quarter of that and build a successful venture and test your ideas fast. And the speed is a very, very important thing, because it's really, really, the speed makes a big difference when it comes to a startup studios. Because a lot of things is that you only realize a startup, an idea really works or not after you spend like 2 or 3 years on the idea. While in our case, it can be as low as 16 weeks. So there are ideas that we scrapped in 4 weeks' time. And because that's the kind of process that we have built in, that to figure out if this idea is going to work or not. So that's the key differentiator. And well, I can speak on this a little bit more deeper as well. But then, you know, I would love to have you guys on a forum with us, which we're actually conducting from next week.
Okay, I'm going to make this interesting. Wrap up by asking each of our speakers to give advice to our students in relation to entrepreneurship, if they want to be future entrepreneurs or successful in their employment. What kind of advice can you give them? Because you all have extensive industry experience, and I want to tailor it to them. Dr. Adil, let me start with you. What would you advise our students about if they want to be future entrepreneurs? What are the skills? What is the mindset that they need to have? What do they need to learn along the way? You know, what advice?
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Learn how to build a business plan. A lot of people just get an idea and they get stuck with the idea and they start promoting the idea. But what they don't have in hand is building a business. It's a business plan. Now, building a business plan, don't outsource it to somebody in Fiverr. Do it yourself, because simply by building your own business plan, you will have to force yourself to become a strategist, to become a finance accounting person, to become a marketeer, to become a salesperson, to become a communication person, to become a project manager, to become a leader. If you want to become an entrepreneur, you need to have these skills grown in you. They don't have to be perfect, but at least you need to recognize the skill sets that you need to build a business. So first of all, I would suggest highly that you do your business plan and you live each and every character there is in a company. The manager, the project manager, the marketeer, the sales guy, the finance guy, the accountant, you have to live them a bit, at least take a flavor. The second thing, and I'll only mention two and leave the rest to the team. The second thing is that you need to know how to build a team. You need to be able to identify the right project manager, the right marketeer, the right sales guy, the right engineer, the right media person, the right technologist. You need to be able to identify people that have these kind of skills. So you need to always look around for people that know how to do things and be able to communicate with them and attract them to your idea. The more ready you are, the easier it is for you to attract these other people into your idea. This is why what I refer to as being able to identify a problem and build a team around the problem, a problem or an opportunity, and build a team around it, because these to me are the basic ingredients for a company to exist and have a better chance in success. You might have realized there was the slide on why do companies fail. So you need to do the opposite of what that says. Yeah, they don't market well, you need to find the right person that does marketing. If they don't, sell well, you have to find the person that knows how to sell, and so on and so forth.
Very, very nice. Love it. Okay, over to you, Kilian. Advice to our students who want to be future entrepreneurs or successful in business in general.
So in the end, after your university, get your hat out of the book, go out there and just do it. I just said 9 out of 10 startups fail. So our mission is to identify the 9 as quickly as possible to find the one that is remaining and it's going to be successful. So basically go out there today, fail the first time, do it 8 more times and then be successful. And maybe if you're lucky on the way, you're a bit quicker and maybe your 3rd one is already successful. But start doing it now. Don't waste time. Speed is of the essence. And then you're going to be there.
Excellent. Love it. Okay. Thank you so much, Kilian. Over to you, Maher. Your advice.
I'll advise you the same that I've advised my son. He came to me a month ago. He's finishing his high school. He's getting to university and he's telling me, look, I want to be a software engineer like yourself. I said, why you want to be a software engineer? What are you going to achieve with that? What are you going to solve the problem with? And then he said, because I want to be a businessman. I said, how is it linked? So he explained that to me. Just remember one thing, you're living in a very important era. I think Brother Adil has mentioned the stat, which was very staggering. 40% of those who are graduating today will need to be entrepreneurs. So you need to start thinking from now on. For my humble advice, the thought process should have started earlier on, which I'm trying to seed into my son's idea. The most important thing is think from now, what is it that you want to solve? I always believe in don't just start a business for sake of starting a business. Don't replicate and copycat, although nothing wrong with that, but trying to find what is that something we need to do and change where it's helped the world. It will bring, or about, innovation is about change. So probably some of us, when they heard the word innovation, they get, held back and saying it, oh, this is a very difficult thing to do. Innovation means change. So you change what is happening today where you can better the human life. That's always I think about. Whatever I do is how you do think and help the people around it. So think about what is it that you're going to help with around. And trust me that the talent that you have today, it's amazing. You got access to information that we never had in our era time. We had to go and source for books. If you want to know how NASA works today, it's on the Google, by the way. So if you want to start up anything, it's on Google. Apart from, of course, seeking advice from experts. So again, a key message, change what do you think it will help the humanity in terms of advancement. And that would be something you really hit it correctly in that case.
I love it. Yes. So a business with a purpose. Try to have a purpose and build your business around it. Okay, over to you, Jazeer.
I think I'm going to sound like a bad guy because I'm very non-conventional. The way I think is to be focused on objective and not being subjective. I mean, if you joined a university for graduating in accounting, financial, business, whatever it is, you don't have to wait until you get to last year or you graduate to find your passion or finding the next best idea you need to launch. If you figure that out in the first semester, drop out. Go run behind it. So the biggest thing that you need to learn is to execute. It's very, very, very important that a lot of people don't get the skills. Most smartest people on this earth are not the people who are the most intelligent or had the most number of money or they knew the best of planning skills. They're people who knew how to execute things. There are people who can persuade others to come and join them. There are people who know how to persuade people to come and work with them. There are people who can persuade to get the money that they want. It's very, very important to get that. So it's really, really important to be objective. At the end of the day, you guys are trying to build a career to be what? To be having the financial freedom, to have the ability to buy your next favorite car, to buy, go for the next specification that you're looking for, everything that you're looking at. You don't have to wait until you graduate. You could do that in the very first semester. So be objective. That's one. The second thing is that a lot of people have this misunderstanding that, you got to be, for you to be an entrepreneur, you got to be doing your business. You can be entrepreneur in every part of your life. That means you can be an entrepreneur even when you're working in a company. The way you be an entrepreneur is being proactively solving a problem that's within your organization. Or you could be a person that finds a problem and build a venture out of it. In whatever it is, entrepreneurship is a mindset. And I think that should not be just relying on the 40% who's going to be self-employed. I think 100% of the people who are sitting in this room need to understand entrepreneurship is a mindset. And if you have that, I think you're not going to wait for somebody to solve your problem. You will solve your own problem. Thank you.
Okay. Totally agree about entrepreneurship as a mindset. Do not agree about dropping out, even if you find your passion. Finish your degree. Although some of the most successful business people are, university dropout, but we want you to finish and get your degree in hand. So I do want to wrap up because we want to stay on time. I want to say immense thank you to our amazing guest speakers, amazing speakers, to Dr. Adil as keynote speaker, to Dr. Jairo as a co-host of this event, and also to all of you for attending, to the amazing faculty here. And this is our last event this year. Our summer is about to start. Same for our students. I want to wish you an amazing summer ahead. And I hope to see you all back here with energy, all of us, in good health and energy. Thank you so much. Thank you.